You are Locked On Clippers Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Los Angeles on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Well, that was a heck of a lot of fun. Welcome into the Locked On Clippers Postcast on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel, the place to hang out when every game is done. You can also listen wherever you find your podcasts on the Locked On Clippers podcast feed. I am Pete Fox, covering sports in LA dating back to 2007 for ESPN LA and NBC Sports Radio. Tonight's episode of the Locked On Clippers Postcast is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Well, Clippers on a back-to-back coming into this one tonight with a ton of energy, and it was big. We're going to talk about that tonight. How important was the energy? How much of that energy did they garner from the fans? Norm Powell clutch again for the Clippers. He has been their backbone, their rock throughout the majority of this season. There have been a couple of groaners. Did not play well in Houston for whatever reason, but tonight another nice performance. And they win this one in a thrilling, kind of crazy finish, in spite of not being really that good points in the paint. They missed so many chippies in this game. It's hard to believe that they pulled it out, but a large part of that was based on the fact that Steph Curry had the big third quarter, which he has been known to do of late. He's averaging 10 points per game in the third quarter, had 9 tonight. But when it's all said and done, 26 for Steph, 6 of 15 from beyond the arc, had the ball in his hands in the final 30 seconds, and it was one of those quick look Curry chucks that your heart sank as a Clipper fan when that went down. You're just like, or when he let go of it, it did not go down. So that was nice to see all in all, but it just felt like, how can he miss this one? I mean, it's Steph Curry in a clutch position, and I don't know about you guys. He is what do they call him? The smiling assassin, right? Just so much fun to watch. I never get tired of watching Steph. He is not one of those guys that when he's playing against your team and putting it to you that you hate, right? Generally speaking, that is the way you feel about a guy like that who's just shoving it down your throat. Tonight, he didn't really do that. He had the big third quarter, and you were kind of like, well, I mean, they told us this was going to happen. We knew this was coming, and sure enough, it did. But he missed a fair amount of shots. Even in that third quarter, he had 2 or 3 looks, one of them from, like 6 feet beyond the three-point line, which is standard Curry range. He missed a couple there as well. Again, 6 of 15 from beyond the arc, 10 of 21 on the night for 26 points to lead the Warriors. Wiggins had 22. But, that last 30-second series there where Norm Powell got his pocket picked. Like, what the heck was that? He was penetrating down the lane. Clippers were up 3 at that point, 35 seconds to go, and Norm just got his pocket picked. I was blown away by that as well. The ball bouncing around. It was just frantic, absolutely frantic. Everyone's scrambling, trying to, play defense. The Warriors trying to get an open look. Gary Payton had the final shot as time expired, and it did not go. And the Clippers hold on for a 102-99 win. They're now 8-7. And they have a nice little home winning streak going there in Intuit. I believe that's 5 in a row now at home for them. And just the 3rd loss of the season for the Warriors, 2 of which have been at the hands of the Clippers. Norm Powell again tonight was big for them. Started off hot, had 11 points in the first half as the Clippers went to the break, up 11. He played 26 minutes, 9 of 15, 5 of 6 from beyond the arc for 23 points to lead the way. Chris Dunn played with a ton of energy, 3 of 6, 1 3, 7 points. I was a little surprised by that. I felt like he had more. Derek Jones was also the energy that these guys were playing with tonight on the second night of a back-to-back was so surprising and remarkable. Fun game to watch. It felt like they were closing out at the arc. The Warriors, though, are a tough team. They are what you want to be when it comes to ball movement. They keep that ball moving around. It's not anything new that we haven't seen from them before, but that ball is constantly on the move, and they did a nice job of guarding them, both in the paint and on the perimeter. The Warriors won the battle in the paint, though, 40 points to 32. As I said, the Clippers just missing left, right, and center. Zubats did not have a great night in the points department. He did have 17 boards, but only 8 points because he just kept missing layups. I don't know what that was all about. Usually, Zoo's a guy that's 6 for 8, 7 for 9 on the night, usually pretty consistently. Doesn't miss a ton of shots tonight, 3 of 8. So you can safely say that was an off night for him. Second chance points, though, 6 apiece. That was nice to see. Fast break points, 14 for the Clippers and 17 for the Warriors. So all in all, a pretty even game, but the Clippers played defense. They guarded the perimeter. They guarded the paint, played with active hands. There was one play in the fourth. I don't know if you caught this. I thought it was so interesting. I talk a lot about the active hands because we've heard about that's what, part of Van Gundy's style is interrupting passing lanes and, knocking balls away that turn into turnovers. But there was one play right after Coffey had a really nice dunk at the 3:53 mark where he was down on defense and he had his hands just up in the air, waving them around, and he kind of waved it around his right hand back behind him, and it knocked the ball away. And he got into a little trying to grab it, back and forth battle with Curry, and it ended up going off of Curry. I'm like, now that is the purest definition of active hands. Didn't even have his face on the ball. Wasn't even looking at the ball. Just threw his right hand. Maybe it was his left. I don't know. It felt like it was his right. Threw one of them up in the air and blocked the ball going out of bounds. And it became a Clipper ball at that point. So, that kind of energy, that kind of activity is exactly what the Clippers need. A nice win last night. I was doing Chargers last night, so I didn't actually see the game, but saw some of the highlights. They showed a fair amount of them before the game. Really like the, what do they call them? The City Connect jerseys, or is that what they call them in baseball? It's the same concept. Different, alternate jersey, the baby blues with clips on the front. I thought was pretty cool. But they got a win last night over Utah, got them back to 500, and then they keep it rolling tonight. So to see them come out and play with that sort of heart, energy, momentum, just never really got down. They just kept playing throughout the entire night. There was times at the beginning of the game where I was just getting frustrated. I feel like sometimes I am just way too hard on James Harden for whatever reason. It's not that I don't like the guy. I like him. I just feel like there are times when he's a frustrating guy to watch. He sometimes early in the games will just dribble down. It just seems so slow and lethargic. He just stands at the point holding the ball, waiting for the shot clock to tick down. And then he just, he tries to make something happen. Very rarely passes, tries to penetrate. Usually in the beginning of the game, it's fair to assume that he'll penetrate like that and do that little pocket pass to Zoo 3 or 4 times to kind of get him rolling. And that wasn't happening tonight. He was just penetrating, trying to draw fouls. It feels like across the league, the referees are not falling for James Harden's little routine there in the paint anymore, trying to draw fouls. But he would just get into the lane, or he just sit out there at the point, dribble around for a few seconds, and maybe make one pass, probably not, and take a bad look. Just holding on to the ball, looking, and then, oh, well, there's no good look. I'll just throw up a bad shot, which was an air ball a good portion of the night. Again, he finished with 12. He was 4 of 15, 2 of 6 from beyond the arc. But he had 16 assists. So that makes up for the bad night shooting as far as I'm concerned. But that wasn't happening in the beginning of the game. That all came around in the second half, which was appropriately timed. But in the beginning of the game, just standing around, holding on to the ball. And I was like, I feel like this team is better when Dunn is at the 1 and Harden's at the 2. Just let Harden shoot. We don't need him to be the facilitator. And he is a good passer, but he can pass from the 2. He doesn't need to be the 1 to shoot. Or maybe in the beginning of the game, you let him be the 2. And then at the end of the game, all right, you could be the 1, or I don't know. They were moving it around. Norm will be the 1 on occasion as well. But today, early in the game, they had a nice first quarter in spite of all of that. 6 steals. I mean, that's what it boiled down to. A big part of this game for the Clippers, the steals. So we'll get into that. The defense will also do the bucket list right after this. A nice win for the Clippers tonight at Intuit Dome, 102-99 over the Warriors. They're now 8-7 and 5-4 at home, 5 in a row there at Intuit. Warriors 10-3, 6-2 on the road. And the Clippers have a nice streak going against the Warriors as well. I believe 5 of 6 or 6 of 7. So they kind of got their number right now, which is really nice to see. It's the Locked On Clippers postcast on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel, the place to hang out when every game is done. You can also listen wherever you find your podcast on the Locked On Clippers podcast feed. We appreciate you allowing us to be your source for your team every day. All right, tonight's episode of the Locked On Clippers postcast is brought to you by our friends over at BetterHelp. Where is the little thing here, which they call the bottom third or the Chiron? I know I have it, maybe not. There it is. Maybe you should check out BetterHelp if you are in need of some time for yourself. Take a moment, say thank you to someone in your life, including your therapist, if that's someone you'd like to shout out. Yes, that's a direction to me. Yeah, this is I love these scripts. This month is all about gratitude, and along with the person I just shouted out, which I didn't shout out anybody, although I did use a guy BetterHelp for a while. Don't remember his name, but he was very helpful. So it's kind of hard to shout him out when I don't remember his name. And I thought this whole thing's supposed to be anonymous. Anyway, it's sometimes hard to remind ourselves what we're trying to do and be our best, get a sense of everything. And in this crazy world, it isn't all that easy. Here's a reminder to send some thanks to people you love, including yourself. If you've been oh my God. Let me just tell you about BetterHelp. I'm getting away from this script because, again, highlighting all the things that they don't want me to say. I guess I'm an idiot. I don't know. But anyway, BetterHelp is online therapy. I have used it a few times. I've been to therapy a handful of times, both in person and online, and they are both very, very similar. The experience and the benefit comes from online therapy the same way that it does from when you're in person with people. It's not like you're on the phone, and it's very personal. And you sit there and you chat with people face to face. And what it did for me was it helped me kind of get through some issues I was having with really, really kind of foolish things, getting upset about things that just really didn't matter. I remember talking to the guy, and he was just giving me some, tools, some very useful advice when it came to dealing with things that kind of got me off the tracks, got me, out of sorts. And I thought that was very helpful. Just the tools that you can take and use in your real life. So make sure you give BetterHelp a try if you are in need of this kind of help, this kind of therapy. Talking to people quite frequently will help you work through your issues. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA today and get a 10% off discount on your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. BetterHelp, give them a try. Check them out, BetterHelp.com, and use the code LockedOnNBA. All right, Clippers hold on tonight, leading by as many as 15. They win it in a nail biter, 102-99. The Warriors led early after the first bucket, and that was it for them. So they led by 3, and then the Clippers turned things around from there and had a really nice first quarter, in spite of James Harden just kind of being a ball hog. The ball hogging from James Harden to me is a problem. And fortunately, it doesn't happen all the time. And he feels compelled to do it, I guess, early in the game for whatever reason. And the good news is that he doesn't do it in the second quarters. The second half, late in the game, he was passing, facilitating. And on a night when he only scored 12, he had 16 assists, which was really nice to see. So that was good. As far as the top 5 or 6 or 7 buckets of the night, here we go with the bucket list. Number 5, Norm Powell hit a 3 at the 6-minute mark of the first. That made it a 10-point lead for the Clippers, 20-10. Then Nico Batum got going. I don't know. We're calling him Nico. I thought it was Nicholas, but whatever. You want to be Nico? That's cool too. He hit a 3 at the 9:53 mark of the second. That made it 34-26. It was on a really nice kick out from Zoo, who got down in deep and kicked it all the way back out to Batum, who buried the 3. Then he got another one not long after at the 6:42 mark. That made it 42-34. And for 3 in a row, the hat trick at 4:25, he hit another 3 to make it 50-36. For number 3 on the list, Norm Powell hit a 3 at the 5:45 mark. I was at the third. It was some really nice ball movement there. And anytime, I feel like the ball movement for the Clippers is essential to their success. You got to move the ball around. As I said, when Harden's being stagnant with it at the point, to me, it just doesn't behoove anybody. Harden is not that guy anymore. He's not able to hit those shots the way he used to. He's just not able to. He can hit shots. He still can make clutch shots in clutch situations. But just standing there creating his own shot is not the best look for the Clippers. Ball movement is the key. They had that going there at the 5:45 mark. Norm hit a 3, 68-62. He had 5 on the night. For number 2 on the list, Terrence Mann just came to it was early in the third and just absolutely flushed one with authority, elevated and jammed one down just after the start of the third quarter at the 11:30 mark. That was really nice to see, and it helped the Clippers get some energy there coming out of the break. But as we said, Steph Curry went off in the third for 9 points and got the Warriors right back into it as they won that third quarter 27-19. For number 1, Norm Powell hit another 3 at the 5:53 mark of the fourth. That made it 92-85. He had another shortly thereafter to make it 97-90 and a third to make it 102-92. So he had the final bucket for the Clippers there in this one. Norm Powell back on track, which was good. One thing that we've talked about frequently here, the Clippers having nice runs and then turning right around and giving up nice runs, kind of worked the other way. The Warriors had a couple of nice runs and the Clippers answered right back a little. It wasn't like they gave up an 11-2 run and then, came back with 11 of their own, but they stemmed the tide there. And again, in the third, the Warriors got back into it, 27-19. At the break, Clippers were up 11, 56-45, thanks in large part to Norm Powell. Just playing athletic with a lot of energy. And didn't see a ton of him creating his own shots tonight. Was coming off the pass and hitting threes straight away, just playing with a lot of confidence, and even left the game at a portion early in the I think it was early in the second he left. And Pingalore, as this game was on KTLA channel 5, the guy that they put on the sideline from the television station there, this David Pingalore, he is just absolutely dreadful, so freaking annoying. And this was the only time, 1 or 2 times during the game, he was fairly normal and straight. And one of those times was when he talked about Norm Powell leaving with what he felt was hamstring tightness, but you saw him sitting on the bench with the Thero gun and was working it out, got back in there pretty quickly and started scoring right where he left off. So 11 points in the first half to finish the night, with 23 leading the way for the Clippers. All of this tonight was based on the way Norm Powell played, I would say. But you look around and you go, look, it was a team effort, to be sure. Derek Jones only played 23 minutes. He left early as well after making a layup and falling to the floor and banging his head. Kind of a scary sight there. 2 of 4, 1 3, couple of shots from the free throw line. Finished with 7 points, but played with a ton of energy, just all over the floor. Not big numbers, but contributing for sure. Chris Dunn, as I said, just 19 minutes, 3 of 6 for 7 points. But I guess you go down and look at the bench play. Terrence Mann, a big night, 23 minutes, 4 of 10, 2 threes for 10 points, had 6 assists and no turnovers. Amir Coffey, just 1 turnover. He had 15 points on the night, 1 block, 5 rebounds, 2 threes, and 3 shots made for his 15 points with 23 minutes. And Kevin Porter Jr. also played well. 16 minutes, 3 of 9 for 8 points. So this is the kind of thing that you want to see from this Clipper team. I like seeing Mo Bamba in there. I think this guy is going to be huge for the Clippers. He's a guy that can spell Zubats and he can hit threes, which is nice to see. He played 7 minutes. And I had 1 bucket, made 3 points. But he wasn't missing him in the paint, and James Harden was passing it to him in the paint. So that's a win-win as far as I'm concerned. He's a big guy who can fill up the lane. He's got a 7-foot wingspan. And when Harden would get into the paint, when Mo Bamba was on the court, he was passing it to him. So again, I felt like I was being hard on Harden early in the game because of the lethargic, just hold on to the ball play. And I'm just like, just go over to the 2, give the ball to Chris Dunn, let him pass it around because you're not doing it for whatever reason right now. But late in the game, in the 3rd and the 4th, he was drawing a lot of defensive attention from the Warriors. And that's, I guess ultimately that's what you want to see. And maybe this is part of Harden's game plan. Maybe he's setting them up early in the game. So late in the game, he gets the attention and then can penetrate and kick and find the open guy. And if you've got guys hot like we had tonight, like Amir Coffey and Terrence Mann and Norm Powell, and those guys are open, it's easy pickings. You know, the Warriors were not guarding the perimeter late, and the Clippers were taking advantage of it, and they were playing some defense, which I like to see. We'll get a little bit more into that because, you know, defense wins championships, right? That's what they say. Oh, wait, that's football. It's the Locked On Clippers postcast on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel, the place to hang out when every game is done. You can also listen wherever you find your podcasts on the Locked On Clippers podcast feed. Tonight's episode of the Locked On Clippers postcast also brought to you by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats and see if your hunch has any life to it. You feel like, hey, I've seen this before from my team. They're going to turn it around and come back and win this game. Then you can bet on that hunch. You can view live play-by-play and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. It's FanDuel.com. Download the app or use the web. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Clippers win it 102-99, handing the Warriors their 3rd loss, beating Golden State for the 2nd time this season. Nicholas Batum had a nice steal about the end of the 3rd quarter, right after the Clippers were trying to get back into it when the Warriors rallied there, and they penetrate down the court and missed a chippy. But Coffey got fouled at the buzzer, which was nice to see, and a little bit of a break for the Clippers there. He hit all 3 free throws, and it was a 3-point ball game at that point. Starting in the 4th, Porter Jr. playing defense with a really nice block, showing a ton of energy there at the 9:45 mark. And shortly thereafter, Coffey hit a 3 at the 8:54 mark. Porter Jr. a layup where he banged his head there at the 8:32 mark. Then Terrence Mann hit a big 3 at the 7-minute mark. And then Coffey with the flush at the 3:53 mark, followed by some nice active hands, knocking a ball away and a turnover for the Clippers. But then in the last 2 minutes, the wheels started to come off. Everything was going great. They were playing hard, trying to just salt away this victory, and all of a sudden they got lazy. Bad looks, forced looks. I don't know where that comes from. It's surprising to me that you can play the majority of this game solidly, passing the ball, tons of energy, confidently, and then all of a sudden in the last 2 minutes, you start taking bad looks. I mean, the Warriors were running and gunning in the third, but they weren't doing it so much in the fourth. They were missing shots, giving the Clippers opportunity. It felt like the Clippers were just forcing looks right there in the final minutes of the game. I didn't quite understand that. It all worked out in the end. Thanks to clutch shooting from Norm Powell. As I said, James Harden penetrated and kicked out to Norm for a big three. That put him up 3 with a few 35 seconds to go. And then Norm got his pocket picked, and then the Warriors went down and had an opportunity to tie the game. But even Steph Curry couldn't bang one down there to tie the game up. They were just off a little bit in the shooting department. Clippers shot it at 42% on the night, 47% from beyond the arc. As for the Warriors, 44% from the floor and 36% from beyond the arc. And ultimately, I think that's what cost them the game, that they just weren't as dialed from downtown. Buddy Hield was 2 of 6 for just 8 points off the bench. Wiggins 2 of 4. And again, Curry, who had 9 in the third, big third quarter there, but he missed a couple of 6 of 15 on the night from beyond the arc. And that has got to be well below his average, but didn't get to the line at all, which is kind of surprising. Andrew Wiggins 2 of 4 from beyond the arc, 6 of 8 from the line for 22. The rest of the starters, Trace Jackson Davis had 8, Lindy Waters 6, and Draymond Green had 9 to go with a fair amount of complaining, which I guess we're all used to at this point. Again, Derek Jones had 7, Zubats had 8, James Harden 12 with 16 assists. Zubats had 17 rebounds to go with his 8 points. Norm Powell led the way, 23 points, but 4 turnovers. And no block shots for him, just 1 steal. Harden had a couple of steals, as did Zubac, which is nice to see. And Chris Dunn, 1 steal as well. Batum, 9 points, 3 for Bamba, 2 steals for Bamba. The defense tonight, again, a big part of this win for the defense for this team tonight was because of the defense. And that's something you can build on, put a feather in your cap, and feel really good about, because that's something you got to do on a regular basis. I know it's tough and it's about energy, but that's what the Clippers had tonight, and it was nice to see on the second night of a back-to-back. 10 points for Terrence Mann, which included 6 assists and 2 steals, and 15 for Amir Coffey, who had 5 boards, 1 assist, and 1 block shot. So a little bit of everything from everybody. We'll see how it goes on Wednesday. Maybe we'll see Kawhi Leonard. Probably not. Didn't hear anything about his name. Just saw him sitting over there with his hat on, looking bored and disinterested. All of us wondering, when's he going to get out there? When's he going to play? Maybe you guys have forgotten about it. I unfortunately have not, because I feel like it'll take this team to the next level. So sooner before later, but then again, maybe that's not a good call. Maybe that's a bad idea. Maybe we keep him out till February, and then he might be able to play through the postseason. Back at it on Wednesday, 7:30 at Intuit against the Magic. So off tomorrow. They'll play on Wednesday, off Thursday, play the Kings on Friday. Again at Intuit Dome. Then they've got a road trip where they head out east for Sixers, Celtics, and Wizards, leading right up to Thanksgiving. So a 102-99 win tonight for the Clippers. Norm Powell with 23 as the Clippers improve to 8-7. The Warriors fall to 10-3, but still continue to lead the Western Conference. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks for your comments here on the Locked On Clippers postcast on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel, the place to hang out when every game is done. Have a good night. We will talk again on Wednesday. Take care.